presentation of Turner Sports.
But high potential young drivers that are wise enough to be patient and let things work out for them, you put them in good cars and you can tell pretty much what they'll be able to do in a Winston Cup car after a while.
That's where the talent is coming from for the Winston Cup Series. And you're always on the lookout for somebody who's looking real good.
And there's enough similarity between the Busch cars now and the Cup cars that as long as you make that transition reasonably quickly, we think it works.
So yes, I watch on Saturday.
A lot of people saw Randy LaJoie last Saturday win at Nazareth. Randy, a win today at Charlotte would open even more eyes. This would be big.
I tell you what, this base motorsports Phoenix race team is really running good. We've had some momentum. We won last week. This car is running really good. I hope we can put in victory lane today.
All right, best of luck. Down pit road to Randy Pemberton.
Well, Jeff Fuller starts ninth today. Almost won this race in the spring of last year, but he ran out of gas, finished fourth in the fall. Jeff Fuller, this is a great place to showcase your stuff.
You know, it really is. The Sunoco team has done a great job putting the, you know, some good equipment underneath me. And we time trial real good. Time trial ninth and got out in that last practice. Got going decent. Had a little problem with the motor, but I think we're going to be fine today.
Okay, Larry McReynolds is with the third place starter. Larry.
Thanks, Randy. I'm back here on the 8th row with Jeff Green. Jeff, you're about a third of the way through the season. You're still trying to get that first win. It's pretty much known that you're one of the up-and-coming talents from the Busch National Division. Do you feel any added pressure knowing that a lot of eyes are watching you here at Charlotte today?
Are you kidding? I got Dale Earnhardt as the owner and Teresa. But no, it's GM Goodrun Service Chevrolet is running awful good, and they take a lot of pressure off of me. Tony and the guys give me such a good car. So, you know, at the capability of this car and capability of the team I've got, I feel like we can go right to the front.
Well, Ken, no matter what division's running here at Charlotte, this Black 3 is always one to watch.
Indeed he is, and there's another 42 to be watched before this one's over. Hello, Ken Squire with you, and alongside Dr. Dick Berggren from Stock Car Racing Magazine and Mr. 600 here, the five-time winner, Old DW, Darrell Waltrip. And we've got a good one for you. $370,000 purse, 200 laps, 300 miles to be covered this afternoon. We've had dramatic finishes 4 out of the last 5 times we've seen this event here. And I guess we go to you first, Doc, and ask you about the young guys in this race, the potential for them to beat some of these veterans.
Well, it could easily be a youthful upset this afternoon, Ken. We've had 9 races in the series so far in 1996 and 2 first-time winners. And when you look at the cast of youthful characters in this event, you just met 33-year-old Jeff Green. He's making only his second start. Last year he was second. And remember 1992, when a 20-year-old kid won it. Fellow's name was Jeff Gordon.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about those KG veterans, and here is Captain KG, Mr. Waltrip.
I thought you were going to mention me as the youth movement up here in the booth, maybe.
Thanks a lot.
No, we got some really good, solid race car drivers in this race today that know how to win races. It's one thing to be able to win a race. It's something else to know how to win a race. And that's what you've got with Dick Trickle. I mean, here's a guy that's won 1,000 races, and he's on the front row, and Dale Jarrett's no rookie either. And there's others sprinkled all through the field. Mark Martin, Mikey, little Mikey, my brother.
Oh.
Obviously, he knows how to win a race.
He sure does. Let's go down to Mike Hogwood, who is in the Duralube Pit Communications Center today. Little Mike.
Thanks a lot, Ken, and we do have a great field for today's race, but you know what? Making this show was no small feat. They had a last chance race yesterday. 10 spots, the final 10 spots decided, and still 20 drivers had to pack up and go home, failed to qualify, and there's some impressive names on that list. How about Tommy Houston? Over 405 Busch Grand National starts. And you got a guy like Dennis Setzer, who's won 2 races. Kenny Wallace, whose sponsor on his car is the same as the sponsor of the race. Provisionals, Curtis Markham, who's 3rd in the points. Phil Parsons has won here. Glenn Allen Jr., who's the series leading rookie. And how about Chad Little, who won this event 1 year ago. It's a great field. It's going to be a great race. We've got the Red Dogs 300 live on TBS this afternoon from the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
The Red Dog 300 on TBS is brought to you by STP, makers of Son-of-a-Gun Protected and new Son-of-a-Gun Tire Glaze. By True Value, official hardware store of NASCAR and garages everywhere. By Texaco Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. And by Splitfire Performance V Spark Plugs.
One of the great racing facilities in the world, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we're soon to see the green for the Red Dog 300. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Hogwood. I'm in the Duralube Pit Communication Center this afternoon. And, you know, I've got a great idea for you. If you've got a computer and you're watching the race today, you want to get in touch with Buddy Baker. He is online today, and that's the online address, http://cnn.com/chat. Buddy is waiting to chat with you this afternoon as you watch the race. Oh, keep Buddy company. Our AutoZone race analysis posted awards over $372,000, 40 cars in the starting grid today. The race record set back in '83 by Sam Ard, one of the all-time greats in this series. Last year's pole, an event record set by Rich Bickle. And last year's winner taking a provisional today, Chad Little, and I know he wants to get to the front in a hurry. The cars are rolling on pit road. Let's go back upstairs now to Ken Squire.
And we'll take a look at the Texaco starting grid for this Grand National event at Charlotte. It's Dale Jarrett. He's won it twice, trying to make it thrice today, the first man to do so if he can pull that off. And Dick Trickle, twice a runner-up. In row 2, it's David Green, current point leader, and Hermie Sadler. Row 3, last week's winner at Nazareth, Randy LaJoie and Tracy Leslie. Row 4 will be Jeff Burton and Mike McLaughlin. Row 5 is Jeff Fuller and Todd Bodine. In row 6, Jim Bound and Hut Strickland. And in row 7, driving for Kenny Schrader, Bobby Dotter, and the winner here in '93, Michael Waltrip. Row 8's Marty Ward and Jeff Green. Row 9 is Mark Martin, a two-time winner of this event, and Indianapolis Steve Reeves. In row 10 is Jason Keller and Jeremy Mayfield. Row 11, a two-time national champion, that's Larry Pearson and Tim Fedewa. Row 12 is Derek Cope and Jimmy Spencer. Patty Moise is going to start 25th on the inside of row 13, and Bobby Labonte, the 1991 Grand National Champion flank eater. In row 14, it's Mike Wallace and Jeff Purvis. Row 15, Curtis Markham, and the winner in '94, Phil Parsons. Row 16, Glenn Allen Jr. and Chad Little. Row 17 is Joe Nemechek and Rodney Combs. Row 18, two-time Grand National winner here at Charlotte, Terry Labonte and Ward Burton. In row 19, it's Matt Kenseth and L.W. Miller. For the 20th row, Joe Bessie and David Bonnet is there. Kevin LePage is on the inside of row 21. Outside is Doug Heverin, and rounding out the field, the guy that won the season opener at Daytona, Steve Grissom. 43 cars, and we'll take a look at the in-cars and take a look from inside Hermie Sadler's car, number 1. He gets ready to go here today. There's his roof cam. Pretty exciting pictures out of that thing in the course of this race today.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to see a lot of good shots from Hermie. He's going to run right up front all day.
Now let's take a look. Is this David Bonnet? David Bonnet out in the back of the field. His dad twice a runner-up. Great fight back in the '70s with Earnhardt one time right to the finish. And of course, Neil was the two-time winner of the 600 tomorrow. There's David Bonnet. Now we're with Mark Martin. Consistently a good runner in Grand National racing. I think it gives him a little bit of an advantage for the 600 tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it does. Most of these guys say now that the cars are so similar, engine-wise, weight-wise, and of course the same tire we're going to be on tomorrow, and that seems to be the mystery everybody has to solve is what the tires are going to do. So yeah, it helps.
Up in the front row, twice a runner-up, number 64. That's Dick Trickle. Duralube car ready to bring it on down. A little bumper cam from outside there. Sneak a peek down low. So he gets ready for a go. We're one lap away from getting this one under event. Well, I think we got one more. Oh, yeah, there's Randy LaJoie himself. Up there in Norwalk, Connecticut. Defeated David Green. A great show at Nazareth last week. Randy LaJoie. Former scourge of the northern tracks up in the Northeast.
Boy, I tell you what, we saw him several times just drive the wheels off of a race car. He puts the same thing where some guys just don't even think about going. He's an aggressive driver, and it's good to see him win his first race last week.
Indeed it was. Now you see part of the 24-degree banking. And let's go down quickly to Randy Pemberton with this update.
Well, the pole sitter, Dale Jarrett, had a motor in the car that he qualified with. He wanted to run that engine here today, but the engine kind of went away on him, so they decided to put a backup motor in with consultation from his crew chief, John Irvin. And so they've got a backup motor in, not quite what they wanted. Larry McReynolds, can you add to that?
Yeah, I talked to Dale last night, and that's true. They dropped the valve in the motor. And the motor they had to race here that they qualified with was an awesome engine, and Dale really felt great about it. But he's got his car handling good. He said, I'm just going to have to work a little harder at it now. But I've never seen Dale quite as confident as he is right now.
Getting set for start. Coming out of turn 4 and down for the green. 200 laps the distance today. Observation from Dr. Dick Berggren as they bring him up.
Well, last year's winner is going to have further to go than anybody else. Chad Little showed up with about 2 minutes of the drivers' meeting left to go. They have relegated him to the back of the pack. He starts dead last.
So the guy that won it, had that great wind scheme, is having a bad year this year. Chad Little all the way out back. On the brake. Jarrett pops right out in front quickly. Back straightaway, and Jarrett distances about 3 car lengths over the remainder of the field. And 3 wide right behind him. Here comes LaJoie on the bottom of the track. Slides back in under Trickle.
You were saying something about bonsai, Darrell? There it was.
Well, these are really tense moments because right now the cars are not, the tires are cold, and the guys that got to get the cars kind of shook down and get them going.
Todd Bodine nearly got shook up there. The 81 sliding to the outside. And you see the number 3 dancing down to the inside. Jeff Green picking up some spots. Back up front, war for first place. Trickle into the lead. LaJoie going for second.
Trickle gave that car a great ride last week. He went up to Nazareth, and I think he finished like 3rd or 4th up there in that car. So that's a fast car, and he's driving the wheels off of it.
On board with Randy LaJoie in second spot as they come back to the stripe.
I tell you how fast a car that is, Darrell. That's the same car that he won the pole with at Atlanta, and what a way to get yourself a ride. That was the very first time he ever drove for that team. Got the pole. They said, you're our kind of driver, and he is still in that ride. And last week at Nazareth, he came all the way from as deep in the field as 31st to finish 4th.
Trickle leading him down to complete lap number 3. LaJoie stays with him. Directly behind him was the man that led it originally, Dale Jarrett. And just behind him comes David Green, who made that great war with LaJoie at Nazareth. Now take a look at this one. Hermie Sadler down on the inside. And he's got himself a struggle with Jim Bound on the outside, but not for long, as also Michael Waltrip tries to pick up a notch here.
Now, Mikey's car looks like it's handling real good for him, and he's making some progress toward the front.
Back there in the 9th, 10th, 11th spot.
They really struggled with Michael Waltrip's car all the whole duration of practice and qualifying. The car had just been loose until the very final practice yesterday, and they got it too tight. So they've changed it around. Now they're right back to where they started after all that work.
3rd place battle right here.
Well, Doc, this track changes so much from the morning to the afternoon, sun in, sun out. It's a really sensitive racetrack as far as setup goes.
Yesterday they ran a 40-lap hooligan race with the non-qualifiers here yesterday, and some of the guys came out of that and said the racetrack was totally different at the end of 40 laps than it was at the beginning of that event.
Yep. I think that point about those that didn't qualify for this race, really quite a story. Randy LaJoie slipping back a little here. See David Green around him on the bottom and getting himself up into 3rd spot.
Qualifying here was especially rough. 20 guys went home. 11 of them went home with their race cars bent, either in their qualifying run or in practice.
On board with Dick Trickle in 2nd place, looking back. Dale Jarrett right behind him.
Trickle, your leader.
And a guy that we usually talk a lot about, Mark Martin, I'm sure people wonder where he is because this is one of his best racetracks. And he's kind of hung up back in traffic right now and hadn't made that great charge to the front that I thought he might make.
There's a guy running a great charge on this entire year. Number 95, David Green, currently your points leader. He's got a win so far this year. Been running very, very consistently up front all season long. No DNFs for Green.
Boy, isn't that amazing? I mean, he jumped out of the Labonte car, jumps in that car, which hadn't had a great history, and has put that thing in a point lead, won a race, and just driving. It's just been going great for him.
And if you ask him why, his first response is, I don't know. And then he goes on and on. He'll tell you a whole bunch of different reasons, because it was a whole bunch of things that came together for David Green and that number 95 currently running in 5th spot that has helped him really get his career back on track again.
What about Chammerdine? Does he give him much credit for what they've done? I know he wasn't there from the very get-go, but still he's been around.
A lot, and they are begging Kurt Chelmerdine to stick around. Kurt, of course, wants a career as a race car driver, but right now he's helping that number 95 team.
Didn't look bad the other day. Fifth spot in that ARCA race here, Kurt Chelmerdine. But he certainly is contributing up here in Grand National Racing. And take a look at this group as they fight for first. Here comes the outside, and it's LaJoie trying to make the move around Jarrett coming out of turn 4 as they complete lap number 10.
Boy, he just shot to the outside there in 3 and 4 and really come off of 4 with a lot of speed and just got right by Jarrett. I don't believe Jarrett's engine's quite running like he had hoped it would.
And LaJoie has got so much momentum coming into this event, Darrell. You look at his last 3 finishes. At Bristol, he was 6th. At Hickory, he was 3rd. Last week, he won at Nazareth. Here's a race car driver that is absolutely on a roll. Randy LaJoie, the number 74.
Well, if he's going to compete with that 95 for the championship, he's got to be doing exactly what he's doing, and that's winning races.
And that's just what he wants to do. He wants that championship terribly, terribly badly. He was the 1985 Busch North Series champion. He wants to be the only guy that ever won the Busch North champion and the Busch Grand National Series champion.
Making his move out of the rear, Terry Labonte up to 23rd spot in car number 5. He had to come in through that consolation race. Here's the battle in first, as you watch Randy LaJoie out of Norwalk, Connecticut against Wisconsin Rapid, Wisconsin's Dick Trickle fighting for first.
Dick, go ahead. Sorry.
And Trickle had won the Winston Open here, so he is a past winner at this speedway. LaJoie's never won here.
Take a look a little further back in the field out here as the 97 brings them on by, and Chad Little in that group. That's back in 30th spot. You see Ward. See Chad Little's car, the number 23, 32nd. Grissom is in that group just behind Chad, driving the 29. Rodney Combs from the 43, still waiting on that field to kind of string out before they make their charge up through the field.
A couple of young guys right there. Marty Ward in that Hooters-sponsored car, and L.W. Miller running side by side.
You know, one thing I'm noticing with some of the cars that are working their way through traffic, the outside of the racetrack seems to be really good. Bobby Labonte, for instance, has made some really good passes down here in 3 and 4 on the high side. So you don't have to just run around the bottom. You can move the outside and go fast.
That's a battle for 30th right there. L.W. Miller in the 21, fighting with Ward in the 97.
Mark's starting to pick up a little speed, too. That car usually gets better as it goes along. I think Michael's car, I think he might be fighting that problem he had all practice, Dick. He doesn't look all that good. Uh-oh, 3's off the pace.
Yeah, number 3 slowing down as the battle for 12th slips by him. Mark Martin on the inside and posted on the outside there. Michael Waltrip in the 12.
See how much speed Michael carried into the 3rd turn there and on the outside. That seems to be working real good for some of these guys.
That would be a battle for 11th now as number 3, Jeff Green out of Owensboro, Kentucky, has that GM Goodwrench car of Earnhardt backing up a little. And that fight continues. Mike Waltrip on the outside, and down on the bottom, Mark Martin.
With Bobby Labonte right in breathing distance of those guys and closing fast.
Does your brother come down off his cloud after that great run the other day? Hey, take a look at this fight for first. Here comes Randy LaJoie pressing the lead for the first time in the event. This is their working lap 16. LaJoie goes out in front. Dick Trickle stays in 2nd spot, followed by Jarrett, Burton, Green, Tracy Leslie, Hermie Sadler, Jeff Fuller, and Jimmy Spencer. Wheeling around a complete 20 laps, 30 miles here in this 300-mile Red Dog 300 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Got a good race all through the field at the present time. LaJoie and Trickle battling up in front. There are the leaders at the present time, staying right there. Dale Jarrett, and here they are, 3 wide back in turn number 1. Talk about 3 wide just a few moments ago. Whoops. Wow, Rodney Combs getting together out there with old 21, L.W. Miller. Talk about running 3 wide. That's back in 30th spot. We saw some wild racing here just a moment ago involving Michael Waltrip.
I was just going to say that everybody had kind of settled down and was just kind of pacing themselves. And this little kind of racing right here will get you very unsettled real quick.
That's Michael Waltrip in the middle of that sandwich.
Boy.
Up on the outside went the 44. Bobby Labonte shoving his way through, and down on the bottom making his move was Derek Cope for that 11th position. Now take a look at this. This is the 28, the 26 at it. That's Derek Cope down on the in the 26 car, and the 28 is Hut Strickland, and they've been having at it for a while. Battle for what, 12th?
You know, that's kind of almost like a family affair. Cope drives Bobby Allison's Winston Cup car, and Hut out there is married to Donnie's daughter, so they're having a little go of it.
And in addition to that, a lot of the stuff they're using on that number 28 car is left over from Davey Allison. That's the remnants of the Zook operation that Davey used to drive for before he was tragically killed at Talladega.
And the big story here is the number 5 Labonte on the charge. What a move he's making. Texas Terry has come from 35th position, and he's eaten them up. Did not qualify well, had to come in that Actron car through the consolation race. He's working on the back end of Hut Strickland right now, trying the high side out of 2. Labonte in the number 5. Strickland down low, just in front of them, Derek Cope. Good fight further back in the field as we watch them back in 12th, 13th, 14th spot.
It doesn't come to any great surprise again that Terry's doing that. And Michael's off the pace and coming to pit road.
Michael Waltrip pitting the 21. A lot of guys said, like Nemechek and Combs, that they were going to try to hang on to Labonte, but there was no hanging on to him. It was shoot and scoot from the outset. We're only at 24 laps, and he's up there toward the top 10. 3 cars behind the wall, and Randy Pemberton. Tell us more about it.
Well, Jeff Green, one of the first to come back here with the GM Goodwrench Services Chevy. He moved up 14 spots in points to 10th until today. Jeff, what happened?
I don't know. Something happened in the motor. Maybe burn a piston, but we had a good car today. I tell you, we'd have been there at the end, I think. It was just coming to me. You know, the track's slick, and we set up for a slick track, so I have to wait till next fall to do it, I reckon.
Tough break for Jeff Green. One update on Michael Waltrip. He's got a loose wheel. That's what happened to him.
Wow.
And I know he can afford to tighten it up. I mean, I know he surely got people down there who can do it for him.
That's got to be exciting.
Remember that box of tools you brought to your first race at Daytona? He needed that box of tools, Darrell.
Got 170 miles an hour, a loose wheel. Think about that.
Imagine Waltrip shows up and went to Sears, got himself a box of tools, and went down, ready to go racing. What, 25 years ago, Darrell?
25 years ago, Ken.
Back up in front, watching Randy LaJoie trying to make it 2 in a row. What a great year he's having. Take a look here at the 4th place battle. At 95, there's McCall's car. David Green right there in 4th. Following is Sadler in the number 1, and you're on board with Sadler right now. Just behind him is Jimmy Spencer running in 6th.
You know, we got to give Jimmy a call. He drove a great race the other night in the Winston Open.
Didn't he?
And I looked at the car, just playing with him. I went over and looked at the car after that race. I said, gosh, this thing looks like it hadn't even been raced. And he's out here today going good again. Jimmy's doing a lot better, I think. He's doing a lot better job driving.
He says that's the best race car he's ever had here. And he's had some very fine Busch Grand National cars in Charlotte.
Well, Spencer just made the move up. David Green falling back some spots. Hermie Sadler with that new paint job on the number 1 goes into 4th. Spencer goes into 5th.
Well, we got a whale of a battle back in the field here. I'm telling you, with Chad Little and a bunch of them, they are going at it tooth and nail.
Darrell, Jimmy owns that number 20 car. Is a guy who owns his own race car more likely to take great care of it, or does the switch just flip when you put that helmet on? You drive the same no matter who owns it.
That might be true for some owners, but not for Jimmy Spencer. I think that he doesn't have any thought at all who owns the car. He's just out there to run as hard as he can run, as long as he can, and hopefully he'll end up in the front. He has a lot of faults. I mean, people obviously have pointed that out, but he also has a lot of good characteristics, and I like the way Jimmy drives. He just gets a little aggressive sometimes.
One of his good characteristics is that he will ring absolutely every mile an hour out of a race car it's got. Look at him on the bottom now. Spencer picks up the spot.
You know what, Dick? I think that comes from modified racing. I think you got to race so hard in that series that when you get into this kind of racing, you don't realize that sometimes you're just overdoing it.
Sure got the right name for a sponsor on that thing today.
Yeah. She's definitely zipping right along.
Jeff Burton, unscheduled pit stop on lap 13. He was running 4th at the time. Came in for 4 tires. spent 23 seconds in there, so he's well back in the pack at the present time. Burton being shown 41st at this time. Here's your leader. LaJoy in first, and Dick Trickle stays second. Jarrett third. It's stabilized up in front. Back to the Red Dog 300 short. We're back with you watching Grissom in that 29 car. Just in front of him, the 52. Grissom in the 29 being shown in 30th spot at the present. And right after him comes Chad Little.
Chad Little, and they have been racing really hard in that little crowd right there. And you got to figure Chad Little's car must be pretty good because, like Dick pointed out earlier, he started dead last, so he has moved up through the field a bit. They really struggled with that Pontiac. You know, they ran a Ford last year, and this year they switched to Pontiac, and they have really struggled trying to find the setup for that car.
He says that thing has got so much downforce in the back, Darrell, that it's almost lifting the front wheels off the ground. And they've been having problems with it. They had to put stiffer springs in the back end because it's got so much downforce.
Yeah, and of course, what you look for is a balanced race car, and that's what that car is not at this point. It's got too much rear down and not enough front.
Number 60, Mark Martin, continuing to climb up through the field. He's had a lot of good luck here, and he just gets around Jimmy Spencer for 4th place. Michael Waltrip's story, Michael Waltrip's tire. We can get more on that story. Here's Randy.
Well, these are the two wheels that and tires that came off of Michael Waltrip's car. This is the right front. If you look over here, these are where the lug nuts go on. Tapered on the inside. They sit nice and flush in there. If you come over here, this is the wheel that came off of the right rear. Check a look at this. Wow. It's absolutely worn out the holes in here of the pattern. So Michael had a very bad time out there. Larry McReynolds.
I'm standing here with Jeff Burton. Jeff, your first Busch Grand National race this year. Really looking good running with the leaders. Thought you had a flat tire, but what did it turn out to be?
I guess one of the seals were broken in the rear end. It was dumping all the grease on the right rear tire. And I'm not a sprint car driver. I can't drive it like that. I jumped on outside of Dale there and almost wrecked it. I thought I had a tire down. I came down pit road. And only thing that's going to happen is it's going to burn the right rear hub off of it, or we're going to get into a wreck, and it's not worth that.
That's the story from Jeff Burton, and I did see the inside of that right rear tire that come off, and it was full of grease, so it was not going to last long.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about it. Both those guys had the problems with their rear tires. If it's a front, it'd shake your steering wheel out of your hand, and you know what the problem is. On the rear, you just think you're getting bad loose. Maybe you got a tire going down or something. So they have to come in and find out what the problem really is.
Here, and they're showing Chad Little up to 26th spot. Vesey in 27th. Miller is being shown in that 21 car, 27th. And they're showing Andy Hillenberg in 28th, which must be a little difficult for Andy.
Since he's not in the race.
Not in the race. That's Bobby Dotter out there in the 52. There it is. Here's the 88. There's Kevin LePage and this new fella in the number 55 who has really been impressive out here thus far this week. He's another one of those Wisconsin drivers.
Matt Kenseth.
Yeah.
Kenseth, yeah. He ran the Hooligan yesterday, and Bobby Dotter, oh, wow, look at this 3 wide. Oh, dear.
He ran the Hooligan right there.
Yeah, he ran the Hooligan yesterday, and Bobby Dotter, owning that car, stood up here with us in the announce booth and kept telling him, take it easy, you're doing great, you're doing well. Well, Bobby can't talk to him right now because Bobby's kind of busy driving a race car of his own, and Kenseth is doing a terrific job in that car.
This is the first time ever on a super speedway. He's up to 32nd.
Yeah. Carl Wegner recommended him for the ride. That's how he got it.
Here you see the 44 car in 7th place. That's Bobby Labonte. And right with him comes Green. Derek Cope is in there as well. There's Derek Cope.
All this green flag racing, you know, we dropped the green. We haven't had a caution. There's 42nd lap here. This is good news for some guys. If your car's handling well, that's what you want to see. But some of these guys, I'm sure, like to have a quick caution here to get in, make some chassis adjustments, and make their cars better before they go a lap down.
Low 80s is the temperature here at the track, but on the track itself, it's another story. Steve Burns has it.
We're in Todd Bodine's pits, and we have a non-contact thermometer here. You press it right at pit road, and it shows us the temperature here is 133 degrees. Todd Bodine is one of the drivers who badly needs a pit stop. He's dropped 15 positions since this race has started.
Terry Labonte, continuing his wind up through the field, goes into the 9th position. Number 60, coming right along, Mark Martin. Boy, Mark Martin's had a record here. Won here last October. had a second in May of '94, a second in October of '94, one, as we mentioned, in October of '95. He just consistently looks good in this track.
Well, that car does, Ken. I mean, you think about that car everywhere it runs. Mark is certainly an outstanding driver. They do a great job of preparing the car, and he will be a factor, I'm sure, before the day's over with.
There's Joe Bessie getting under Grissom for 25th spot. Joe Bessie, number 9, driver out of Maine. You see L.W. Miller sticking his nose back in there again, trying for a slot.
Yeah, it's good to see L.W. Miller back out here. You know, he came up through the ARCA ranks, and everybody was kind of high on him, and he hadn't really achieved what people thought he may. So it's good to see him back out here with a ride.
Meanwhile, LaJoy up in front, getting a lot of heat out of Dick Trickle in this Duraloo car in second, on board with Dick Trickle in second place. Well, we're 45 laps into this, and they've all been green thus far in this overture, the Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow here on TBS. The Duraloo aerial platform giving you pictures of this very dramatic 1.5-mile facility, where tomorrow at 5 o'clock here on TBS is the 37th annual Coca-Cola 600. Mike McLaughlin, 3rd in points a year ago at this time, 21st currently, and still having more problems today. Let's go to the pits and get the update.
Ken, I walked up to Clyde McLeod, crew chief for Mike McLaughlin, and said, Clyde, what's going on? You started 8th. He said, Larry, we are so loose, you just cannot believe it. And I said, Clyde, welcome to chassis setup at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is what they pulled out of the right rear spring. What this does, that makes that spring stiffer, and it was really loosening the rear of the car up. They come in and changed 2 tires, pulled this rubber wrap out, and back out on the racetrack. Darrell, I think the smartest thing we could do is not even practice this afternoon since we race tomorrow night.
Well, that's what happens, Larry. These guys practice, and they chase what we call chase the racetrack. And depending on what tires you got on, depending on what the weather conditions are, and I think you're exactly right. I think I'll take my time getting down to the car this afternoon.
Yeah, sure. I think Mick Reynolds is telling stories again. McLaughlin back in the 40th position at the present time. Not a good day for him. He was in for 13 1/10 seconds.
Well, what a good day for Randy LaJoie out front. You know, you think about all the things that have happened to Randy LaJoie. Just terrific to see him running as well as he is. We're riding in Dick Trickle's car now as he tries to chase down LaJoie. You know, LaJoie was completely out of a ride for a long time. And during the off time when he was trying to get a ride, he built show cars, he built race cars, he drove trucks, he was a race day spotter, he was a fabricator for Todd Bodine. He just never gave up. Here he is leading this race now.
And that car that's right behind him is the car he drove in this race a year ago and finished 10th, and he ran up in front a lot of the time. Now Dick Trickle has the keyboard of number 64, and LaJoie up here on the 74, fighting up in the top of the points for car owner Bill Baumgartner, looking really stout at the present time, which is 53 laps into this thing.
There's a lot of guys, Ken, are in jeopardy of going a lap down here before too much longer. A lot of good race cars, and it's just because of what happened to the 34 car. They need to get in, make some chassis adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, and take a look right here. That's the 29th position of the 43 starters today, going a lap down. They keep saying Hillenberg. That's Donner, isn't it?
It's Bobby Donner.
Bobby Donner out of Chicago.
Well, Hillenberg got in the ride, and that's maybe why.
So they give him credit.
Yeah, Hillenberg decided he wanted to
Very strange.
Yeah, Hillenberg decided he wanted to concentrate on ARCA, and he recommended Bobby Donner to Kenny Schrader that owns that race car. Why? Because Bobby Donner's dad was the crew chief last year when Hillenberg won the ARCA championship. This is a payoff.
And when you see the number 55 come around with this new young man from Wisconsin, that's the Daughter car that sat on the pole a year ago, so that's a strong car. There you see Daughter out of Chicago in the Schrader ride, number 52, trying his best to stay with it, but falling dramatically back. Meanwhile, on pit road, Tracy Leslie, who's not having much luck this year, he's bringing number 11 in. Hey, Darrell, up to 55 laps on these cars with this carburation. When should you be coming in?
Yeah, I had this hold up just a second. We got a couple of cars get a little sideways up here in 3 and 4. Yeah, we're getting close to that window. I'm going to say 62 laps, 65 laps are going to be bringing them in. Cars are starting to get a little bit like they're handling a little bit mean, too. I see several of them sliding up the racetrack.
4-tire change here, and there's some problems. Let's go down to Randy.
Well, you're right. It's about pit stop time, and as one crew member goes down the catch can, man, bottom line is if your car's not handling and you're about to go a lap down. You want to get on pit road as quick as you can. Save at least a lap or two of precious time to get those new tires on early. Tracy Leslie came in, got 4 new skins. We expect to see everyone on pit road within the next few laps, as Darrell Waltrip just commented.
Tracy Leslie falls back to 38th position. Here's your battle for third, as Jarrett, the 2-time winner of this event, is having to fight it out right now with Mark Martin on the attack. Putting a lap on Bobby Daughter down on the bottom of the track as they come down through the main straightaway and for turn 1.
Well, with the worn tires and close to pit stop now, the 74 cars having a little bit of trouble getting through traffic. That's allowing Mark and Dale Jarrett and those guys to close back up a little bit. They're cutting that lead he had down some. So I'm saying these cars are really needing to make pit stops.
Mark Martin with another terrific run. He has run 6 of these Grand National races in 1996, has won 3 of them and led every single one. He's led twice as many laps as David Green, who is second in laps led this year.
And you see that car in the 3 and 4 there? Left tire on the white line. That's bad news for everybody else. He's right on the bottom of the racetrack, and that means that car's handling very, very well.
Yeah, he's a rocket. Mark Martin really knows his way around here. Won the race last fall. Yeah, he's looking at getting under Jarrett.
He just cut that thing down, and it was in the gas wide open. He cut it to the inside, and there he goes. What's that left front wheel? Right on the well, he had to slip up. I guess Jarrett sucked him up there a little bit, maybe.
Make it up as you go along, right?
Yeah, right.
3 Grand National wins in 96 at Rockingham, Darlington, and Bristol. Will it be 4 for Mark Martin today? He's sure looking strong right now.
62 laps on the board in the Red Dog 300. Randy LaJoie took the lead on lap 16. We're in the Duraloo Pit Communication Center. I'm Mike Hogwood, and I'm joined now by Ken Schrader, who today is working as a car owner for car number 52. You got Bobby Daughter in the machine today. How's it running so far, Kenny?
Well, it's not where we'd like it to be. It's falling back a little bit, but Bobby and Timmy Cahoot and the crew chief been talking. They're going to make some changes on the first yellow or green stop. First time we can get her in the pit.
We're looking at action on the track right now. What have you seen and what have you sensed? What has your driver told you about the racetrack?
Well, it's just the car's gotten tighter. It doesn't want to turn. It's hard to keep her in the bottom. You can keep her in the bottom, but you just got to stuff off too much speed. Track seems to be staying awful fast. I mean, sounds more like guys are getting tighter than they are looser. I know that 60 car and Mark, they're coming pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the car to watch today, wouldn't you say?
Most definitely. I mean, Dale Jarrett will be tough. Bobby Labonte will be there. Jimmy Spencer will be there. Terry will be there. I mean, there's a dozen of them, and there's a lot of them are figuring that they're just starting out now, and they're going to get ready for that last 50 laps.
Ready to give that 25 a ride tomorrow in the 600?
We're ready to go all day tomorrow.
All right, good luck to you. Ken Schrader, thanks for stopping by. Ken?
Kenny Schrader, who starts 23rd in the 37th annual Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow. And now we're looking at that battle back in 12th position. There you see the number 47, and we're taking a quick look at the leader one more time, and look who's right in front of him, Chad Little in the 23 car. Boy, after that great success of a year ago, nothing has worked for Chad Little in Grand National with this new Pontiac. You're on board with Randy LaJoie, who led only 4 laps all year until last week when he led 88 in that brilliant victory at Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
I think he's got to figure it out now, don't you think, Ken?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Can you imagine Chad Little in 19th spot going a lap down here, Darrell, at 66?
Right now, his crew saying, say if you hadn't missed that driver's meeting, you wouldn't be in this position right now. Because, he had to start dead last on the field.
Point leader on pit road, number 95, David Green.
Pit lane's going to get busy here pretty quick.
He was running 10th when he brought it in. David Green got badly burned last week, and it reminded me so much of the story. I think it was here on this track, wasn't it, Darrell, when you burned your heel to the point you blackened the bone.
Oh, yeah.
And he did almost the same thing last week at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. He's been a hurting puppy all week.
Yeah, and it's so miserable to have to drive with something like that. It's such a distraction. It's not so much the pain, it's just the distraction. You can't really concentrate like you'd like.
26 seconds and he's out. You talk about athletes who keep their feet in the fire. I mean, that's it right there with David Green. He was walking gingerly all week. And from Mark Martin, right? Or Dick Trickle. This is from Dick Trickle back to Mark Martin. So you're looking from the second place car back to the third-place car as they exit turn 2 and down the back straightaway.
No, you're looking at the first-place car very shortly is what you're looking at. Because he is coming fast.
Unless he stops for gas.
Unless he stops for gas, Darrell.
Pit road has been really, really busy, and we can anticipate pit stops coming up for everybody, including the leaders, in a very, very short while here.
Quickly, before we go to those pit stops, did you see the big picture that AP put out last week in Victory Lane here when Michael Waltrip finally wins the Winston Select? And there's his little brother. I mean, really little Darrell is up there. And the big quote is, Darrell says, "I love you, man."
Oh, I did.
It was in every newspaper in the country, right? What you didn't hear was this. Michael whispered in Darrell's ear, "Darrell, I know you're my brother and I love you, but you can't have my beer, you can't have my
trophy." He did say that. He was pretty emotional, but he hadn't lost his sense of humor.
LaJoy, Trickle, Martin stay 1, 2, 3. Darrell Waltrip is with us, the 5-time winner of the 600. He'll go for 6 tomorrow. Been stuck on that 84 victories for how long, old DW? We got to get this straightened out. Got to get that 85th.
Ever since I knotted up with Bobby Allison there, I haven't been able to go any further. Maybe there's something to it.
Dale Jarrett's in. Let's go to the pits.
Okay, Dale Jarrett brings his car to the attention of his crew. Looks like it's going to be a 4-tire change, Unical gasoline going in. Dale was complaining about the car pushing or not turning off the corner. John Irvin told me that they're going to make an air pressure adjustment, go up on the right rear, come down on the right front a little bit. That'll help the car to turn. A lot of Dale's Winston Cup guys here helping fit this car. Looks like a really good stop. Left side's down and Dale's away.
23 seconds, 23-2, and he's back underway. And the 20 comes in, and they're showing some smoke on Jimmy Spencer's car. What's that all about?
That's big time, and he's coming out of the pits. I believe he has I think he got a tire rubbing over there. Like, I don't know, like he left the wheel loose or got the wrong wheel on it or something.
Dick Trickle's slowing down. I think he's ready to pull it on in. He's coming in. Dick Trickle, that great racer out of the Midwest. You know, it sounds like fibs when you talk about how many races he's won, but you can back up every one of them. Here he comes, easing that car in that's been fighting for first place, the Duralube car on pit road. We'll be there with it in just a moment. Randy Pemberton is there.
Brian Schaffer and the crew getting ready to go to work on Trickle's machine. At one time, they decided that Randy LaJoy and Trickle would pit together. They're all getting ready to pit. Round a wedge, make it 2 rounds on the right side. 4-tire stop for the Duralube car. Mark Martin will be in his pit stall right behind him as Mark Martin gets ready to take the lead from Randy LaJoy and does, going into 1. Trickle still waiting to leave pit road. He's down and away.
And meanwhile, here comes Randy LaJoy back on the outside. Mark Martin down low. Mark Martin out of Arkansas and from New England, Randy LaJoy side by side in the back straightaway. Listen to LaJoy's radio.
I believe what they were trying to tell him, I don't know if we heard or not, but don't race Mark now. Don't run on the outside of him right now. Let him go. Everybody's got a pit. Here they come. Boogity boogity.
On the apron. Watch your speed. 45. Here he comes, you guys. Knock him in, Bernie.
Mark's pretty smart, isn't he? He's keeping LaJoy behind him. LaJoy wanted to go around him, and they had to lock the brake up, smoke the tire to keep from hitting Mark.
Bring it in here. Nice and easy.
Randy is in Mark Martin's pit.
Bobby Leslie, Steve Meal overseeing the whole operation for Mark Martin. No unusual strategy here. They're going with 4 tires. They have a good lead on most of the field. A little trouble getting the left front tire out. There could be some strategy in Randy LaJoy's pit, who may be going with 2 tires. It's 4 tires for Mark Martin. Steve Burns?
Randy, you're exactly right. He took just right side tires. Steve Birdie said they would not make a chassis adjustment, and they did not. Just right side tires.
Front of the field on pit road. This is all taking place at approximately lap 73, lap 74, which would get you into the 111-mile range. As they're pulling on, it's been a green flag race from the outset today. Do we expect the same thing tomorrow in the 600, Darrell?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes when the cars don't handle well, you have this kind of racing, believe it or not. You can't really race anyone. And so many of these cars right now are they're not handling well, and they need to do something to them, but with no cautions they can, and it just means you got to be real careful.
And it speaks well to the quality of driving that they aren't overdriving and bouncing off the walls. We'll take a quick break and be back with more of the Red Dog 300 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway this Memorial Weekend. 79 laps have been completed, 118.5 miles. LaJoy is in front. Pretty big advantage over Dick Trickle. Mark Martin third, Dale Jarrett fourth, followed by Labonte, Cope, Labonte. But the thing here is that when this number 74 pitted, he didn't stay on pit road that long. Only took on 2 tires.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's got a difference of opinion, I guess. Personally, you know, Mark took 4, Jarrett took 4, most everybody took 4. I believe at this stage of the race, I'd have had to got me in 4 tires. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. It's kind of a gamble, really, if you ask me.
Going a little bit further back. Oh, let's go to Larry McReynolds quickly.
Okay, I'm going to comment on the 4-tire versus the 2-tire change. You know, Goodyear has brought a really good tire here. And if there's a place you can get by with it, it might be here today at Charlotte. But I would be a little bit nervous about being the only team that changed 2 tires when everybody else changed 4. And then they had a chance to watch these other teams change 4. So we'll just have to see how that works out. I'm here with Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy, you started 24th. You done worked up to 4th, but the day come to a close shortly for you.
Yeah, it really is, Larry. The car was running awesome. The guys built this car in about 2 weeks. You know, Bob Newley put the body on, and John and the guys in the shop built me a heck of a motor. I mean, we did everything in-house, really, except for the body, and I just took it to the guys. You know, the transmission broke. My fault, really. You know, I just hot-rodded in first gear, and it's out of Jericho. Jericho will take that punishment. We learned today we'll never run without a Jericho again, but the Zippo car ran awesome, and I really think I had something for him, but we've been fast at Daytona and Bristol and here, and that's only the 3 races we ran and been in the top 5 all 3 and led the 2 of the 3, so I'm pretty proud of my guys, and I think we're going to do pretty good. Our next one's Watkins Glen, so hopefully we can run good there too.
He has had some good races, what he has run this year. Let's go down pit road to Randy with some more stories.
Well, even though Mark Martin had a great 4-tire stop, unbelievably, they had a little problem with the filler neck. Only got 7 gallons of gas in. Came back in, weighed the second can, or the first can, actually, 7 total gallons in. Mark's going to have to come back down pit road around lap 100. They still don't know what the problem was.
Well, so they're going to run. He's going to run out of gas the same time the Joy runs out of tires, and it'll be the same. They'll be right back where they were.
You're watching that battle for second place, which is 2 4/10 of a second behind the leader, Randy LaJoie. Dick Trickle and Mark Martin at it. From Dick Trickle looking back at Mark Martin in 3rd spot, trying to nose his way under on the bottom side of the track, where that Winn-Dixie car seems to work so well.
And of the top 3 cars, Trickle's the only one that doesn't have a potential problem looming for him. And the gap between your leader, LaJoie, and these 2 cars has been closing up. Both these guys took on 4 tires. And if you've been watching this race for a long time, you may remember when they used to stop it in the middle. They'd have kind of a coffee break. Everybody could work on their car, put 4 tires on it. Then a couple of years ago, they went to just a caution flag. Not doing any of that today. This is a regular stock car race. The only time there's going to be a caution is if there's a problem on the speedway. So they don't get a chance to stop and work on the cars at the halfway point.
David Green made 2 green flag pit stops, laps 66 and 74. He's now back in 27th position. Steve Burns is with Steve Bird, crew chief for Randy LaJoie. We can find more about that 2-tire change.
Steve, Darrell Walton's up in the booth today, and he wants to know why you took 2 tires instead of 4.
Well, Goodyear gave us a great tire, and right now it's a good time to find out if 2 tires will work. We're running real good, so we can always make it up later here in the next stop. So with Goodyear with such a great tire, we just had to try it here early in the race.
Okay, and Randy Pemberton said Mark Martin had problems getting fuel in. On the other hand, when Steve Bird brought the 74 car in here, they changed just 2 tires and got almost all the gasoline in the car.
There you see those second place cars, Dick Trickle. Now there's the 74 car. There you're seeing the interval, and it's been chopped all the way down. Dick Trickle on the attack, closing to within 12 car lengths, bringing Mark Martin with him as they try to overtake LaJoie in 1st place. This is taking place at lap 87. They are racing in lap 87 at the present time, and they're really closing ground here, Darrell.
Well, yeah, I'd like to see what 2 tires would do too. But the only problem is you're showing everybody what 2 tires will do now, and they're going to see that, hey, that's not as good as one before. So I'm not second guessing Birdie. He's a smart man, but by the same token, it's a little early in the race to maybe try that.
3 wide for a moment. Sneak it back down to 2. Trickle going high. Mark Martin to the bottom. Battle for the lead. And LaJoie stays there that time. Now Martin up to challenge.
Look at that thing go off that corner.
That 60 is a rocket today. It's a brand new race car, first time ever on the racetrack, working with a different kind of setup on the car than they have run before. Let me tell you what, it didn't upset these guys. Whoa, look at this with Marty Ward on the bottom. Mark Martin just squeezed in there. Didn't upset them at all. Look how well that thing's running.
Almost shortened it about 3 feet right there.
Well, the thing about it is that car's handling so well that Mark's just putting it in places where guys don't expect him to be. I saw him on the apron down here in 3 and 4 a while ago, and he just drove right by a guy with the left wheels on the apron.
Sort of dancing with the car today, isn't he, Darrell?
Yes, he is. Do we have a camera in this car? I love to watch him when he's like that, because he gets that one arm up on the windowsill there and kind of drives with one hand.
Do not try this at home. Isn't that the line that goes with that?
Yeah, look at him. He's right off the corner there, right on the bottom underneath the guys. He gets under them so quickly, they have no defense for it.
Let me tell you somebody else who runs real well. This morning in Indianapolis, the AARWBA, that's the American Automobile Racing Writers and Broadcasters Association, did their annual awards, and our colleague Ken Squire picked up a first place. Congratulations. You know you won this morning?
No.
You did.
I did?
Yep.
Was that the interview with Waltrip at Daytona when he laid down on the stage and went to sleep?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we got a great
64 and 74. Got a good slugfest here.
Yeah. No, I got to tell you something. Of all the people I've listened to over the years do races, nobody does it like Ken Squire.
Now, what did he really say there, Doc? You know, I know he's going to come back again. Thank you.
No, you're
I think he told the truth what happened.
Well, yeah, but then he usually gets that zinger in. You know?
Oh, you got to have a prototype, and I got to tell you, you're the prototype.
We're going to take a quick break here. 91 laps into the Red Dog 300. 200 laps to be covered today, and what a great scrap we've got for you. And what a great race tomorrow with a 37-600.
The Red Dog 300 on TBS is brought to you by Purolator. Legends live on Purolator. And by Mobile Motor Oil, changing oil for over 125 years.
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by Plastico, Duralube, and by Channel Lock.
We're back with you at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and you're inside of David Bonnet's car, which had been running up in the 30th spot. He made it in with the consolation race, trying to follow in the footsteps of his very famous dad, who won here in the 600, both in 82 and 83. Neil never won this race, but he had a couple of great struggles, one with his old hunting pal Earnhardt back in the mid-70s.
David Bonnet never won one of the series races, but he surely has the talent to do it, Ken. He's been running a lot at home and has won 3 straight late models at Birmingham, and today just might be his last race in this series until he can put himself a new deal together.
Sponsor?
Yep, the whole thing. You're looking for a strong race driver? Try David Bonnet.
Yeah, that's Hank Parker's deal. You know, I sold him all that equipment a couple of years ago, and they've just never gotten it together. Their whole program's never come together for them. Boy, Ken, I see a lot of cars moving higher and higher and higher on the racetrack. The track is either eating up the tires, or else the guys that didn't get to make the proper adjustments on the car when they pitted.
Doug Hevron, a lot of smoke out of him running 33rd as he comes onto pit road at lap 48.
He already had 3 DNFs and 2 DNQs. This has been the toughest year of Doug Hevron's career.
Had such a great race at Nazareth a year ago. Darn near won that thing. Great race.
Yeah, last year there were several times when he had a car that could have won Dover. I think in Bristol even, and something happened right at the end of the race.
Meanwhile, the guy that started 17th today, Mark Martin, is unlimbered number 60 as he goes for the win. He's going for the lead at halfway this time by. Halfway home. Here's that 47. There's Jeff Purvis up on the outside in the 4 car. And right with him comes Fuller. That's the battle for 12th position. Jeff Fuller gets it down on the bottom. Purvis high, and Randy can tell us more about this struggle that Mike Wallace is getting into as well.
Well, one thing I was looking at was Mark Martin came over the radio and said, guys, halfway, we're going to go ahead and take that money, and then we're going to worry about pitting. So he did want to get it to lap 100, get a little cash in his pocket before he comes down and puts a few $100 worth of tires on the car.
So picking up the halfway money will be Mark Martin, who's making a habit out of that.
Yeah, he's getting him some gas money.
Yeah, right.
Got to get enough money to buy a little gas here.
Sure. All right, let's go back to that battle that we were watching with the 47, Jeff Fuller, and Mike Wallace. Wallace started well back on the field today in 27th position. He's down on the bottom of Jeff Fuller. trying to work his way through. Squirrels it down into turn number 1. Holds it tight on the bottom as Mike Wallace in the 90 and Jeff Fuller are at it and give the spot to Mike Wallace. He'll pick up another one, and that will put him into the 12th position, leaving Fuller in 13th.
There's Jarrett right there with him. He's trying to get by as they block the track sort of on him there while he's running side by side.
Mike Wallace in the number 90 car just ahead of this group is kind of running for the whole family. His brother Kenny didn't make the show, so he's picked up some decals from his brother's sponsor, put them on the back of his race car. Also picked up a deal for charity, cerebral palsy. If he can get in the lead on this event, cerebral palsy is going to get some money from that sponsor.
We should point out that we now have 8 cars running the lead lap, and that's why you saw Jarrett back in there mixing it up with the 47 just a moment ago, and the 60. You know, trying to sort that out.
I don't think I remember a time in years past where we've gone this long caution free, and we only have 8 cars on the lead lap and just a tick past halfway here. So this is an unusual race, a little different than what we've seen here in the past.
Last time we had a super speedway race, they say it was 95 at Michigan. Was that Winston Cup? Winston Cup? No, Grand National. Yeah, Grand National race. Got a Winn-Dixie mid-race report coming up for you in just a moment here.
Well, that worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah.
A Winn-Dixie mid-race report.
He knew about it.
Yeah, that's probably what Mark was more concerned about than leading halfway.
Pam Miller's the producer. She works all these things out. Now here's the leader in the 60, working his way down into the corner. Down on the bottom of the racetrack is the number 28. That's Hut Strickland, hanging right in there.
Down the lap.
Yep.
Oh, is it getting busy up there or what?
Yeah, well, see, that's there again. There's Mark's car is so good compared to most everybody else's that he can just stick that thing in a place where a guy just doesn't think he's going to be, and it causes like running into somebody in the hallway.
That Strickland car was in 11th position. Now you got that Winn-Dixie report, and in honor of the leader of the race, he was the 5th different leader. Lead has changed 6 times. The average speed 160. Randy LaJoy with 71 laps to his credit. Trickle with 14. Mark Martin. These are the cars that have retired. Burton, Bound, Green, and Spencer behind the wall and out of this from the 43 that started the event.
Hey, Ken, I was starting to feel sorry for Mark when this race started, you know, listening to Doc here talking about, boy, they've struggled and they're 17, didn't qualify very good. That's a new car and they got the blues. And, whoa, man. I was starting to feel a little sorry for him, wasn't you?
Well, not particularly. Jeremy Mayfield going a lap down in the 98. Mayfield being shown in 10th spot. Making a shambles of the field right now is Mark Martin. It's the prelude to tomorrow's Coca-Cola 600, and it's right here on TBS tomorrow afternoon. We've got a big pre-race program for you tomorrow. Starts at 3:30. Of course, you got the IndyCar races tomorrow, and you got the tradition of Indianapolis. But tomorrow, TBS is going to take you out to Springfield, Illinois. Darrell, do you ever race motorcycles? You ever pitch one of those things at 140 miles an hour on 2 wheels in on dirt and slide for life?
No.
Going to do it tomorrow for 25 laps. It's one of the great American traditions on Memorial Day, and TBS will take you out there for it as part of our pre-race program. Watch old DW get cinched up and ready to go on the 600 and try for his 6th win.
Yeah, well, I got a good car this weekend, too. This is the best car I've had this year. And I'm not going to say it's the best car I've had at Charlotte, but it's the best car I've had this year, and I'm pretty excited about it. Can you tell I'm excited?
Yeah, I can tell you're excited.
Okay.
Because you've told us all week you're excited.
Sometimes my guys say they can't tell I'm excited.
Oh, Mark Martin in the pits.
The leader on pit road, number 60, unscheduled.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
We came in at 68 laps, I think it was 65, 8, wherever it was, so yeah.
Trickle now goes into the lead. LaJoy goes to 2nd, Jarrett to 3rd, and Randy Pemberton can follow this pit stop.
Well, they just have a little better than 30 laps on the tires. There's Steve Meal, opens the trunk, tries to look for the kink, the airflow kink. All the fuel seems to be going in. There's 1 can down and away. Question is, will they take on 4 tires? I speculate 2 only, and that's what it's going to be. As long as they're here, they might as well get rubber. 2nd can of gas going in, spilling a little on pit road. It looked like they got it all full. So Mark Martin down and away in 26. Good stop. Now he's got fresh tires, but still only had 30 laps on those.
20 and 6/10 seconds will put him on the tail end of that lead lap.
This is why I would not be a good crew chief. See, Mark did the right thing, took 4 tires. 74 car takes 2 tires. If he'd have taken 4, he may not have put Mark a lap down, which I think he did just then because of track position. So 2 tires is looking pretty good right now, isn't it, Larry?
We'll take a quick break and then we'll be back. Averaging 163 miles per hour, well over the record set by Dale Jarrett back in '88.
Brought to you by Gladiator and Universal Luxury Vans, the official vans of tracks, teams, and drivers throughout the NASCAR world. Call 1-800-445-2825 for a dealer near you.
Great to have you with us for live Busch Grand National Racing this afternoon. The Red Dog 300 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm Mike Hogwood back in the Duraloo Pit Communications Center along with Kenny Wallace, who has got a smile on his face despite heartbreak yesterday. Finished 11th in that hooligan race. Just missed making that show. Had to really be tough for you.
Well, it was really disappointing. You know, I earned my right to go Winston Cup because I ran so good in the Grand National Series all those years, and we run up against a brick wall this week, and I really don't know what to tell my fans, but stick with the old Red Duck car. It broke its foot yesterday, and we'll be back at Dover with it.
Well, you also have tomorrow to look forward to, and I know you're setting good for the 600 too.
Well, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's race. You know, the team qualified 16th, and we're 18th in the points. We're putting a lot of focus in our Winston Cup program this year and really working hard to get established in Winston Cup racing.
Your thoughts on the race here today, the Red Dog 300?
Well, that's the old dad right there, the 64 car. That's my mentor, Rusty's mentor. That's Dick Trickle, and I tell you what, if he could win this race, it would mean everything. You know, Dick's been beat up a lot. He's a great race car driver, a legend. And for him to be this consistent today and lead all these laps, I think it means a lot. So, I mean, Mark Martin, he's awesome, but I'd like to see Trickle win it.
All right, Kenny Wallace still smiling despite some tough times this week, Kenny.
2 second-place finishes at Charlotte, both in this race back in 1990 and 91 for 54-year-old Dick Trickle. And right now, he's leading this thing in the Duralube Chevrolet. Had a great year this year. Had a 4th up there at Nazareth last week. 118 laps have been completed. 177 miles. I did not want to make light out of the fact that the Aruba folks gave us that award, and the STP folks with them. But you just know with DW around that at the end, there's always going to be that little sick. I got you.
No.
All right, side-by-side racing, and take a look at this one, folks. That's Tim Fedewa. And what a fine racer he is.
Yeah, and you know, Patty Moise is right there in that little crowd, and I think she's recovering from some injuries that she received earlier this year.
Down at Rockingham.
She's coming back. She's running a little bit better today than she has in the past, so that's good to see.
She's going to join us on the broadcast tomorrow. And Elton is going to work with us, I believe, some tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
On the computer thing, talking to folks. Labonte brothers. You see the number 44 there, Mark Martin just getting around them, and we can get more on that story if we go to pit road.
Okay, I've been checking on some of these guys that started deep in the field today and has worked their way up and has stayed on the lead lap. Bobby Labonte, who just went by Dale Jarrett a few laps ago to take over 3rd, at the beginning of the race, his car was a little bit loose, and then it went to a push near the end of that run. The front end just wouldn't cut. They made some adjustments. He's still a little bit loose in, but his car is definitely turning good, and he's definitely working his way to the front. Derek Cope, he's just been quietly sitting back there on the lead lap. His car's a little tight. Last stop, they put some air in the right rear tire, took some wedge out. He's hanging out on the lead lap and seems to be a lot happier with his car. Bobby's brother Terry, they made no adjustments, just took on 4 tires a while ago, and now they're all looking to pit here in about 10 to 15 laps, and that should take them close to the end of the race.
Thank you very much, Larry McReynolds. 181.5 miles. I'd like to ask Larry, before we get done here today, how he feels about tomorrow with Dale Jarrett. They've been looking good out here in these practice periods, of which there is 1 left. Meanwhile, we're going to take a break here at lap 122, where we're at 183 miles. Another pit stop, and they're on their way home. And it has been caution-free, record-setting race here today.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and our pit communication center. It's time now for the Week in Racing, which is brought to you by Auto Week, America's only enthusiast weekly. And we've had some great events here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Headliner so far has been Michael Waltrip, winning in the Winston Select, his first trip to victory lane in a Winston Cup car. His crew has been excited all week, so has Michael Waltrip. What a great win it was last Saturday night for Michael Waltrip. Some other big events this week. Jeff Gordon will be on the pole tomorrow for the Coca-Cola 600, his third pole position here. Jeff Gordon knows how to get around this racetrack and has already proved it with his qualifying run for tomorrow's 600. And Tim Steele, he came here in an ARCA car that has dominated 2 races. Tim Steele has found his way to victory lane twice here at Speed Weeks at Charlotte in his ARCA car. Congrats to Tim Steele. Call 1-800-232-1522 now for a 52-week subscription to Auto Week at the special TV price of just $19.95. Every week, Auto Week is the first with all the inside news of racing, personalities, driving impressions, everything. Call now for Auto Week, 1-800-232-1522. Don't delay. This offer is limited. Dick Trickle is our leader here in the Red Dog 300 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Randley LaJoie trying to catch him.
Back with you at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Red Dog 300 this afternoon. NASCAR Grand National Racing on TBS, and pit stops are beginning to happen. And at this moment, as you watch Hermie Sadler on pit road with number 1, also see Bobby Dotter going by him. The story at the moment on the track is Trickle is leading, but Mark Martin made that unscheduled stop, is trying to run him down. There you see him, and get back in that lead lap. Darrell Waltrip.
Mark was up under, well, actually right behind Trickle down here in 3 and 4, and Trickle actually slid up, and I believe they got together the lap before, and Mark had to fall way back. But Trickle doing everything he can to hold Mark off right now.
Now here's LaJoie coming on the pit road for his final pit stop in 3rd spot. Steve Burns awaiting him.
Steve Burns has held up 4 fingers to his crew. This is going to be a 4-tire change. Now, Randy LaJoie just radioed in the lap before and said, Birdie, help me out, help me out. So they need to have a good pit stop. It doesn't look like they're making any chassis adjustments to this point. They come back around to the driver's side. The right side was just fine. Again, no chassis adjustments. They are changing 4 tires. The left front went on backwards. The left front they had on backwards. They had to turn it around, and that's going to slow this pit stop down. Finally, he's down and away. He lost 5 seconds. 28 seconds, just a tick over 28.
That's going to hurt him. LaJoie coming back out. He was 3rd when he went in. He'll be back on the tail end of the lap. He said earlier this week, this is a Grand National race, and the Busch Grand National driver should win it, and hopefully I'm the one that's going to do just that. But he's just had a bad problem on pit road. Now here's that move by Mark Martin to project himself back into the lead lap, and Trickle isn't giving him an inch.
No, he isn't. He's trying everything he can to hold him up.
Remember earlier, Mark Martin lost the lap when they didn't get all the fuel in that car that the car needed to have. He's now riding on the outside, so they had to bring him in early, prematurely, to put fuel and 4 tires in the car. Now he is back on the lead lap again. That's exactly what he needed. Or is he? Trickle's still there.
LaJoie has gone a lap down. He's got some running to do now. 138 of 200 laps have been completed. And there's Mark Martin trying to stay in front of Trickle and keep up in this lead lap. Looked like they may have nudged a little there.
Yeah, they did. I saw that. They're working each other real hard right now. Trickle's trying to keep Mark a lap down, and watch this right here. He slides right up in front of him right here. This is what I saw a minute ago.
Oh,
see
yeah.
that?
Good thing Mark Martin was behind the wheel, huh?
Well,
right on.
Is that ripple strip up there still like it used to be, Darrell, before?
Yeah, it's a little bumpy off of there, but not anything like it used to be. And what you see right there is, look at Trickle. He's all over the back of Mark, and it's making Mark loose, actually. Mark's car is sliding around a good bit.
He's wearing his tires out.
And see, there's one of those cagey old veterans. He says, okay, young man, you might be faster than I am, but let me show you a trick or two.
Here's Dale Jarrett in the pits. He was running 2nd as he pitted in the Band-Aid car.
But see, you might say, well, why is he doing that? Why didn't he just let Mark go on? But Nick knows that the longer he can hold Mark up and wear his tires down, the better off he's going to be at the end of this race.
When they made that maneuver that we just saw up there in Ford, running these Grand National cars, how fast really was that, Darrell, when they shuffled each other?
Well, they're running off of that corner right there, probably 160, 70 miles an hour. So it's a blink of the eye. That's how quick it happens. And you don't see it and react to it. You just react to it.
Touch and go at 160 miles an hour.
It's all instinct, Ken. I mean, you can't think about it. You just do it.
Larry McReynolds can tell us more about car 44.
Ken, fuel is the issue in Bobby Labonte's pits. They decided to change 2 tires and 2 tires only, but they needed to get both cans of fuel in the car. The 2 right side tire changers got done. The jack man dropped the car. The fuel man went back to get his second can. He come back to the car. The car wasn't there, so they only got 1 can of fuel in Bobby Labonte's pit. I asked Brian Frazier, I said, could you have made it to the end? He said, well, sure. We could have made it if we could have got both cans in. So he's going to have to be back on pit road.
So there's one that you can kind of pull the card on.
Yeah, it's kind of, see, Ken, what happens, a pit crew is trained to do certain things. And normally under green flag, you're trained to do 4 tires. And normally the gas man knows he's got plenty of time when you're going to do 4 tires. So the crew chief needs to be sure everybody is on the same sheet when that car comes in, only gets 2, that they're going to hold the car long enough to get that gas in.
Leader may be coming in. Dick Trickle in 1990. Trickle led for 114 of the 200 laps. Then toward the end, he had problems.
Dale Jarrett passed him on the final lap of that race, but right now he's getting ready for his pit stop, and here's Randy.
Well, it's going to be a 4-tire stop, as you would imagine. This is going to be the last one for Dick Trickle. They're also going to try and raise the track bar just a little bit. You see the wedge wrench going in, a turn on the right rear as well. So Jack swings around to the left-hand side. Trickle's team doing a great job on this pit stop. Little slow with the exchange on the tires to the left side. Bolting them back up. Trickle down and away. All the gaskets in the car. 23 even. Pretty solid stop.
Good stop for Dick Trickle, trying finally to win at Charlotte. Here's Joe Nemechek. What a great run he has had, being shown in 8th just a moment ago. And the Bell South car just about ready to roll once again. Nemechek going all the way around, 4 tires. They're getting that last stop in. It's going to be a green flag condition, a record race. Stay with us.
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by DeWalt Tools, Phenolube, and by Steel Power Equipment.
Take a look at that top 10. There you see the 44 car. Bobby Labonte up in the lead with Mark Martin being shown in 2nd. And Chad Little out of the rear up in 3rd for the moment. Followed by Trickle, Jarrett, Labonte, Purvis, LaJoie, Derek Cope, all in that lead lap. Larry Pearson.
You know, you talk about Chad Little, Ken. Remember last year, 1995, the opening race of the series at Daytona Beach, Florida. He started absolutely dead last in that event and won it.
Well, what we've got today is some interesting scenarios when you have all green flag racing like this. You know, 2 tires, didn't get the thing full of gas. Got a lot of things going on right now.
There's your leader, 44 coming by. There is number 60, Mark Martin, but he's got another pit stop to make. And Larry McReynolds can tell us more about that car 44.
Okay, guys, they still had a mistake in the 44 pits. They meant to get the second can in, and as I said earlier, they did not get it in. But I asked Brian Frazier, I said, okay, when are you going to have to pit? He says, well, we can run 86 laps on fuel. And I said, Brian, are you sure? I said, if I compute real quick, that's about 6 miles to the gallon. He said, that's what we've been showing. But then he looked at me and he said, can't those television cameras find some sort of debris on this racetrack? So I don't know if they can make it or not, guys.
Well, let's face it, it would be very unusual to go this entire distance without having a caution flag, especially here at Charlotte. And it just seems as if there should be one, and if there is one, it's going to bail out an awful lot of people like this car, number 44, Bobby Labonte, and this guy, Mark Martin in the 60, who also is almost certainly going to have to make another pit stop.
Praying for a caution.
Yeah, Bobby, excuse me. If Mark could get a caution in the window here, like 30, 40 laps, he's going to be in good shape because that's about what he can do on fuel. So he's really the guy that needs a caution.
Now, once again, Bobby Labonte in the 44 only took on 2 tires. That's the reason he popped up in front here. on his most recent pit stop. Lap 131, he was in just a little over 12 seconds. Now here's 23. This is Chad Lowell, the winner last year. Remember, it was rainy and foggy, and he fought to the line with Jeff Green and pulled it out of the fire. Once again, Larry McReynolds is on the scene.
Okay, I'm in the Chad Little pits. He had worked his way into the top 5 by virtue of not pitting. They was hoping for a caution flag. They've had an air wrench failure on the right side. They was planning on changing just right side tires. Really having a lot of trouble with the right front. They run across the wall with another air wrench. They got about 5 guys working on the right front. I'm sure they're only going to take the rights and no lefts. Finally, they get it off. Another one goes on. Car's full of gas. About to get it going. Now he's down and he's away. A very long stop for the 23 car.
That Pontiac has been a handful all season long. It just didn't come up to the way they wanted it quickly enough. There you see Jeff Purvis in the number 4. Al Purvis has made himself a contender in this race. He's been struggling this season, looking very strong right now. He's being shown in the 11th spot as he gets back at it. Back up front as you watch Bobby Labonte in the lead. Question is, can he run the distance? Mark Martin is second. We know he has another pit stop to make. At least we think we know.
Hey, race fans, Budweiser asks, who won? October 7th, 1990, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pole sitter Brett Bodine in 26 battled car 4 of Ernie Irvan in the early stages of the race. Title contenders Dale Earnhardt in car 3 and the 6 of Mark Martin were caught in heavy traffic while moving toward the front. Davey Allison was fighting a loose handling car but ran with the leaders all day. Here's the list of contenders, the result when we return. Davey Allison overcame his handling problems to win this autumn classic. Early leader Ernie Irvan lost his bid for victory after a pit road collision with Alan Kulwicki. Points leader Mark Martin wound up 14th, running on just 7 cylinders. But title challenger Dale Earnhardt fared worse, losing his tires exiting pit road. He finished 25th. After his competition fell by the wayside, Allison drove right into victory lane with his 8th career win. Who Won was brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. For that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud.
160 laps, 240 miles have been completed in this 300-mile contest. And right now, number 44, Bobby Labonte, is leading. Mark Martin is in second place. Both are expected to pit again before this one is over. Dick Trickle is third. Terry Labonte is up to fourth, and we understand his dad is saying they can go the distance. That number 5 car could be in here wheeling at the end of this one for the Checkers.
Well, it's a thinking man's race because, you know, everybody that's planned this thing out right and planned it like there wasn't going to be any greens or any cautions, could be the guy that pulls it out.
Now, Darrell, are you seeing anything on this 60 car? Has he got a handful out there?
Yeah, I think he does because he closed up on Bobby Labonte, but he hadn't been able to pass him. And the car looks like it moves around an awful lot when he's in traffic.
And Labonte has had a good car here right from the time that they unloaded that thing. The only thing they've changed in that car since they took it off the trailer was 1 round of wedge. So that's been a good handling race car right off the get-go. Mark Martin now on the bottom, on the other hand, appears to be ready to take the measure.
Bobby Labonte scoots to the outside. Mark Martin down low.
He's got him.
And Mark Martin is on his way.
There it is. There's caution turn 4.
I'll be a son of a gun. We got one spin.
Well, wait a minute.
99 is down at the bottom. Tags into the water barrels. That's going to bring out a yellow. The 99 of Glenn Allen Jr., leading rookie contender. Spins out of the corner. Correction, 98, Jeremy Mayfield. And they race back to the stripe. Some folks trying to make up a lap here. 60 comes across, 40 right with him.
You know, I believe the 52 car made up a lap. It was close.
There's a break for Doddard. And we'll take a look at what happened up here in the turn 4 to Jeremy Mayfield. When we return, we're at lap 164.
The Red Dog 300 on TBS is brought to you by Steel Outdoor Power Tools and by Texaco Avalon Formula 3 Motor Oil.
Fine picture of the beautiful Charlotte Motor Speedway from the Duralube aerial platform, where tomorrow they'll run the 37th annual Coca-Cola 600. Today they're running the Red Dog 300, and here are the top 10 at the present time. As you get to 165, 35 laps to go. Leaders are all in, and Larry McReynolds is standing by. Leaders are
Okay, I'm in Bobby Labonte's pits. I'm pretty sure they're going to take on 4 tires, likewise as his brother Terry. Terry's making no adjustments. You've never seen such a celebration as there was in the Bobby Labonte pits when that caution come out, because those guys I just don't believe was going to make it. Let's go down to Randy, who's in the leader's pits.
Well, Steve Meal on the left front. The jack goes up on Mark Martin's car. 4-tire stop. Likewise for Dick Trickle, who's pitting 1 pit in front. Winston Cup Veteran pit crew. Mark Martin down and away. Steve Burns, what do you got up there?
In Dale Jarrett's pits, they are making a 4-tire change. They made a very small chassis adjustment. He's down and away. A good pit stop for Dale Jarrett.
7 cars in the lead lap. 6 of those are Winston Cup drivers. LaJoie, the only Busch Series regular on that lead lap. Another look at as to why we have our first caution of the day. Came out at lap 165. Jeremy Mayfield, black car.
Yeah, I was watching him, Ken, and he just got in there a little hot, looked like, and the car got out from under him. And I thought he was going to save it, and I didn't think we were going to get a caution. But
bingo.
He needed the wash job, so
gave the photographers in that turn a wash job too.
We'll take a quick break. Those tubes out there with water in them really work, don't they?
Oh, that's a great invention. Yes, great idea.
Back with more in a moment at Charlotte. We're at lap 168 of 200, and while we have a moment before they turn this one loose, let's get a channel lock tech fact. Here's Phil Parsons.
Hi, I'm Phil Parsons. For today's tech fact, we're going to talk about an oil-to-water heat exchanger. This is our radiator right here for our race car. This is built by Griffin Radiator Company. Normal radiators just pass water through them. They pass water out of the engine, through the radiator to cool it, back in the engine. This particular application, we also pass oil through the radiator. The oil comes out of the engine, comes out of the oil pump right back here. It passes into this line right here, into the radiator, goes up the radiator, out this line right here, into an oil filter, and then back into the engine. In a typical Winston Cup race car, you're not allowed to run a heat exchanger. You have to run a remote oil cooler. It normally mounts right here. You have an opening in the front valance, and you have a remote oil cooler stationed right here. Now, that's very easy to be knocked off in the event of an accident. Even a small accident, you can poke a hole under to knock it off. So the Busch Series is allowed to run a heat exchanger. That's why we do that. We actually use the water from the engine to cool the oil.
Thanks very much, Phil Parsons. Right now on the track, Derek Cope is leading after that pit stop. Last time he led a Grand National race, 1994 at Michigan. Larry McReynolds can tell us more about Derek Cope.
Ken, I talked to the guys in Derek Cope's pits, and I said, okay, guys, why 2 tires now? You got 30-something laps to go. And he said, you know, we was running 7th. It'd be easy to come in and take on 4 just like everybody else and leave here 7th. So he said the car's been a little bit tight. Maybe the 2 right sides will free it up a little bit. We'll just have to see what happens.
7 cars in the lead lap. Nemechek on the outside is in 8th. LaJoie 7th. Labonte, that's Terry Labonte, is in 6th. Then Jarrett is in 5th. Trickle, Labonte, Martin, Cope. Average speed 157. The old record, even with this 1 caution, 139 by Dale Jarrett, 1988. We're away, headed into these final laps, 30 laps to go. And with this bunch up, we could have another caution.
Now, once these guys get all bunched up like this, now everybody's racing to get laps back, racing for position. Some got 2, some got 4, so you're going to see some wild racing from here on out.
And there's some wild racing right there going into 3 wide. Ooh, the 28 just bouncing off the front of the car in front of him.
There we go, here we go, here we go.
Out. We've got one all the way around in the wall. Patty Moise. Patty Moise in number 14, spinning just up against the wall, now down in the center of the track. Drops down onto the bottom. Running 32nd, Patty Moise has trouble down there, and they're still wide open coming around.
Yeah, they're
getting back for position.
Yeah, they're trying to get a lap back. Somebody, you know, some of these guys are lap down. They're trying to get a lap back.
Well, not only that, there's no caution flag displayed yet.
Oh, that's the problem.
That'll do it every time.
Oh, wow, I thought she hit hard enough that was going to bring it out. You're dead right.
They're still going.
They're absolutely still in it.
Well, I'm sorry, folks.
That was a pretty good hit. I thought they might have it out for debris. Never gave it a thought. Beg your pardon.
Yeah, no, she cleared the racetrack. I mean, it makes sense they wouldn't have a caution, but I sure didn't anticipate that.
Down to the inside. There you see Dick Trickle making his jump to try to move through into third underneath the 44.
Mark Martin strong up front too.
Look at Dale Jarrett coming on.
Look at this.
And meanwhile, up in front for the lead, going into the corner. Here's Mark Martin scooting down.
Boy, you got to give Cope credit. He's hanging tough with those two tires, and we know how strong Mark is, so Cope's doing a great job right now.
Derek Cope holding them off. 174 complete of 200 this time by Derek Cope up in front.
Cope's only got 2 prior starts in this division at this racetrack. One, he had a crash DNF. The other was in October '94. He was 3rd in that, so he surely knows his way around this place.
And, buddy, there's about 10 or 12 guys over there on the wall that put them 2 tires on, and they're pulling for him, saying, come on, make us look good, buddy, make us look good.
Yeah. It is a good tire that Goodyear brought. It doesn't drop off very much, but as we've just seen before, taking 2 is a tough way around here.
Randy LaJoy, 7th spot.
It is, Dick, but for 30 laps, you know, maybe he can hang on. I don't know. LaJoy looked pretty good earlier for a few laps before the left side really started to give up.
Texas Terry Labonte just in front of LaJoy. 7 cars in the bundle as we get down to decide this one. Only 1 caution today. Tried to get you 2nd caution. It didn't work out.
Yeah, we were anticipating it. That's a problem.
Clear.
Texas Terry has his dad as the crew chief of that race car. Here's the lead. There goes the lead. Maybe Mark Martin on the bottom.
Trickle coming with him.
Oh, wow. All 4 of the front cars right together. Mark's got it. You're riding with Trickle.
Dick Trickle's never won it. 2nd twice.
2nd now.
Mark Martin's won it twice. Nobody's ever won it 3 times. Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin would like to change that around. Cope falling back to 4th spot. Terry Labonte, steady and smooth as always, consistent and cool, just lying there in 5th spot. It's about time for him to start whipping that horse.
Yeah, and LaJoy's right there too. So this is a tight group right here racing for the lead.
And they're all in it. They've all got a shot to win this race.
Oh yeah.
Just 23 laps to go. Hey, it's a Saturday night special and a Saturday afternoon here on TBS. Grand National Cars of NASCAR on parade at 165 plus down into turn number, and here they go once again, getting them 2 and 3 wide.
Down the back off the turn 2 there, then they were 3, almost 4 wide.
Down into the 81 on the bottom, leading that group through the turn. Oh, real tight. Fettowa, the number 40 car, got wiggly for sure.
18th, 19th. Todd Bodine is in 18th. That number 40 is Fettowa, and he's trying to take 18th away. And they're fighting just as hard for 18th as those front 7. And look at this drop down to the bottom. Excuse me. I'll see you later. The 28 car shoots the gap on the bottom. Hut Strickland on his way.
Todd very wisely backed out of that thing, said, I don't want to go into that 3rd turn 3 wide. That would have been a caution flag.
More than likely.
Battle for 6th spot here. Dale Jarrett in the 32. Derek Cope back there with him.
LaJoy is all over the back of Terry Labonte, but just doesn't have the steam to get by him yet.
Kenny Wallace in that 90. Good accounting for himself today, up there in 9th spot.
Connie Moise is back on the racetrack, and she's right in front of this whole group of cars. They are going to have to catch up with her real soon.
Still up there.
There you see it. Down to the last 20 laps today. 30 miles to go.
Martin just seems to be creeping away from this crowd here as they all race each other. He seems to be just putting a little distance between them.
There's the leader, Mark Martin, coming by, and he's got himself about 12, 15 car lengths on 2nd place, Dick Trickle. Right after him comes Labonte, and Labonte, Bobby, and then Terry, followed by LaJoy, 5th, Jarrett 6.
Cope's 2 tires is really taking its toll on his performance. Although it says, like his crew said, he didn't have that much to lose. He's going to finish the last car on the lead lap, and it was probably a smart thing to do with 30 to go.
Chad Little down there in the 23. Got a long day coming from the back of the pack. 14. Yep. Little Mikey Waltrip.
How's he doing?
He's doing pretty well.
He just had that loose wheel there early on, or I think he'd have had a pretty good run. I know one thing, he's got her up in the middle of a crowd right now.
He's 12th right now.
Yeah, I think he's working on a bunch of cars here to move up, you know, in the top 10.
He's working on Burton in the 22 for sure.
And Chad Little, he's there. This is a nice little race. Hermie.
Oh. Excuse me. We're getting awful close as this race winds down.
Well, you know, these guys have been racing hard with no cautions, and so it's hot out there. And buddy, I tell you what, fatigue is not out of the question in a race like this. Now, some of these guys that don't run this long a race.
Everybody, I think, was a little surprised with how many burned feet in last week's race at Nazareth. As I understand it, this 9-to-1 compression puts a lot more heat under your feet than you get in a Winston Cup car, Darryl.
It's true. What it does is raw fuel will end up in the headers and in the tailpipes a little bit more frequently than it will in a Cup car because you don't have the compression to burn it. And sometimes it'll catch on fire inside the tailpipe. And the exhaust gas temperatures are much higher than you would expect them to be.
Like what, 2,000?
No, probably 1,500 degrees. And a Cup car will be 1,250, 1,300.
A little warm under your tootsies.
Yes, make your toe-toes curl up.
It's a little warm right here, too. We got a couple of Bonney brothers right up in front of that number 74 of Randy LaJoie, who led the early part of this race. It's Terry in the number 5 car. Brother Bobby, younger brother, right up in front of him. Saw him this morning walking through the garage area, just talking to each other, trying to decide what they wanted to do with chassis setup. Randy LaJoie hopes they're going to make a mistake here somehow so he can capitalize. He's had a nice race today.
Had a great race. Yep. He just joined us. He led early, put on a great show here. And we've gone the distance with only 1 caution. Jeremy Mayfield spinning late in the race. Patty Mouille spun, tagged the wall, but it did not bring out a caution. All right, lap 186. We'll take a quick break and then come back to show you the finale of the Red Dog 300 today at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Left side spoiler is coming down. They're going to bring us in. That was the call. And Hermie Sadler running in 10th position with 10 laps to go. You can see that spoiler a little lower than the other. They've caught it. It's a good thing to catch right now before he caught a wall. Bad break for Sadler, though. Had a great run going in 10th position.
He really did, and they got to get him in, though, because if that thing falls off there, he'll back that thing in the wall.
Going to get a chance to use some of his sponsors' tools for sure, fixing that thing.
Mark Martin stays in front. There you see the Sadler car number 1.
Trickle. Second gear. All right, now, keep it down, slow her down.
This is just the way Hermie Sadler's year has gone.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he's had, every time he gets going really well, something has happened to him. He's had 4 DNFs this year in the 9 races so far this year. He had a good run until that spoiler spoiled it for him.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It broke off. I don't know what we can do to it. Tape it.
Tape it. It's about the best you can hope for.
Give me a piece of aluminum. Give me another piece of aluminum.
Interesting shot, isn't it? Watching these guys work.
Here.
Well, it's frustrating because you only got a few laps to go, but if that thing comes off, it could be bad news.
Meanwhile, back on the track for 3rd. Bobby Labonte trying to fend off his elder brother. Up in front is Mark Martin. Dick Trickle is in 2nd. Counting the laps down, and here comes Terry looking on the inside of brother Bobby.
And you know, I'm sure they're talking to each other, or at least they are thinking alike. I don't want to race you, Bobby, because I know you're trying to catch Trickle, and Terry will probably try to pass Bobby when it's inevitable that Bobby cannot catch Trickle. So I think that's kind of the way the family deal is working right now. I'm going to help you as long as I can, bro, but when it comes time, I'm going to have to pass you.
I'm almost certainly not talking to the crew, because Bob Labonte, goodness gracious, they've run with him for so many years that they almost don't talk to each other in the pits anyway. The car comes in, and Bobby doesn't talk to his dad. His dad just goes ahead and fixes it.
a year ago in the 600. This is the way they finished. Bobby Labonte won the 36th annual. Terry Labonte was right there in second. As calm, cool, and collected a racer as he has always been. The Iceman getting ready to haul tomorrow for 600 miles right here on TBS. Texas Terry, can he do it again? We'll know tomorrow night about 9 o'clock. You're going to go out and do the garden, take the kids down to the beach, whatever you do, get back and see the 600 tomorrow night here on TBS. Starts at 5. And if everything goes well and green all the way, DW should pull in. About what time do you expect to be home tomorrow
Well,
night?
if it goes that way, we could be home by, 8:30. I wish I could get home at 8:30. Run 600 miles and be home at 8:30. That'd be nice. That means I'd won by a landslide.
It's tomorrow, and at 3:30 will be our special, and we'll take you out to Springfield, Illinois, and show you another great American racing tradition of the Memorial Weekend. The American Motorcycle Association's best will be there. 25 laps. They'll stick it on the line, and if you've never seen it, I guarantee your heart will be in your mouth. They are something.
And for you Trickle fans, let me tell you what, he has a strong horse for tomorrow's 600. He has run very, very well in everything that he has run with his Winston Cup car in preparation for that race. But boy, look at this. He's got Bobby Labonte closing right down on his back bumper.
He's trying, but it's awfully late in this game. 197 complete, down to the final 3.
Yeah, it's one thing to get there, but it's something else to get by with just a couple laps to go.
And particularly Mark Martin.
Right. Well, Mark's, he's watching. He's looking back. He ain't looking ahead.
Mark's gone. He's not turning the mirror up?
Nah. Right now, he's thinking about his Winston Cup car and what he's going to do to make it run and handle like this thing does.
Well, if his Winston Cup car runs as well as this one, Darrell, he's going to be trouble tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it will. Mark's car looked really well, really good in practice, and I think he's going to be tough tomorrow night too. And by the way, that race will be about 4 hours and 20 minutes long. So, yeah, if you're home at 8:30, you probably missed a lot of it.
How good your car for tomorrow?
It's good. I'm really excited. The white flag's coming out here. I tell you, it's the best car I've had this year, and I think that things are starting to turn around a little bit for us, and it could really be big this weekend.
Dick Trickle trying to close it in, but it's too late. It's into the back straightaway. Mark Martin is about a mile away from winning once again. It'll be his 4th win of the 1996 season.
In that brand new car that man just didn't know if he was going to make it or not, but here he comes.
24th of his career. Won his 3 most recent starts. Darlington, Bristol, and now Charlotte belongs to Mark Martin in Grand National Racing. And Dick Trickle, for the 3rd time in his career, comes home as the reserve champion. Comes home in 2nd place. Dick Trickle with a great ride in that Duralube run. And here comes the rest of the. Look at that fight to the line. Purvis is right there. There's Mark Martin, your winner. Darrell, I know you want to get down there and do some practicing. Happy hour is coming. We hope it's a happy race for you tomorrow. Have a great one, old timer. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe in Victory Lane for sure something.
You got it, bud. Thanks a lot. Enjoyed it.
Once again, Mark Martin reigns. It is his 4th overall career win at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And let's go to Victory Lane, the Purelator Victory Lane ceremony about to begin with Randy Pemberton.
Brand new race car for Mark Martin, and if you talked to him yesterday, you swore he'd run about 15th in this race, but it didn't happen, did it?
We got it going better and better. You know, the Winn-Dixie team put a lot of work into this piece, and we really let ourselves down there on Thursday, and by the end of Friday I thought it was better, but I didn't have as much confidence in it as I'd had some of the other cars. But today it was as good as it could be. I mean, it was on the money, but we had some problems, but we were able to overcome them today and win.
Mark, can you talk about how tough it is even just to go 300 miles? You're one of the most fit drivers on this circuit, and you're tired.
I'm hot. I'm not sure I'm tired. Oh, heck, I was tired before the race started, so this has been a real tiring week, these last couple of weeks, and been real busy doing an awful lot of stuff, but it's been warm this week, and we didn't have a chance to really get used to it. You know, it went from cold to hot. Later on in the summer, I don't think we'd feel so hot, but it's kind of a shock.
Can you look forward to tomorrow for us, Mark, the Valvoline Ford, and look forward to the Coca-Cola 600?
Let's go do it again.
Okay, that's Mark Martin. You know he'll be a factor tomorrow as well. Mike Hogwood.
Thanks a lot, Randy. And it's time to talk about the winning crew chief and the Plastic Coat Winning Finish Award. That goes to Bobby Leslie, who, of course, is the crew chief on Mark Martin's car. They overcame some early fuel problems today, and Bobby Leslie gets the Plastic Coat Winning Finish Award. Plastic Coat, the official spray paint of NASCAR, is proud to sponsor the Winning Finish Award presented to Bobby Leslie. Mark Martin, the winner today of the Red Dog 300 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Our next Winston Cup event on TBS will be at Pocono Raceway July 21st for the Miller 500. Pocono's unique triangular-shaped track that has 3 turns, each with a different radius. Even the 3 straightaways are of different lengths. This uniqueness produces some of the most competitive and exciting racing in the Winston Cup Series. Pocono's first Winston Cup race of the season, the UAW GM Teamwork 500, presented by ProMotion Engine Treatment, is set for June 16th. Race fans who head to Pocono Raceway will be treated to some of the prettiest scenery in the nation. The Pocono Mountain Resort area of northeastern Pennsylvania, with its scenic mountain vistas, cool valley streams, quaint hotels, vast recreational centers, has a warm and friendly country atmosphere. Pocono Raceway is also noted for its creative giveaway promotions, and its 1996 contest is called the ProMotion Engine Treatment Fantasy Sweepstakes. A race fan will win trips for 2 to the July 21st Miller 500 at Pocono, the August 3rd Brickyard 400, and the 1997 Daytona 500, plus $5,000 cash. To enter the sweepstakes, call 1-800-800-0987 or send your name, address, and phone number on a 3x5 piece of paper to the address on the screen. A complete set of rules and a free Pocono Raceway brochure are available by calling 1-800-RACEWAY. Let's join Steve Burns next year in our post-race coverage with the man who's just had his best finish of 1996. Dick Trickle standing by with Steve.
Dick, you had a great run, just a little bit short.
Yeah, that Ford of Mark's just runs good. You know, he does a super job. You got to congratulate him because he does a good job. And you know, my team did a good job too. You know, we won second, I guess, and you know, we beat the rest of them. And you know, Mark's just got a terrific car at some of these speedways. And
you got a strong car tomorrow too, don't you?
I believe so. Yeah, we'll get over there and do some testing here. I got to jump in my other suit right now and do some testing.
All right, thank you very much, Dick.
54 years old and still as tough as ever. Mark Martin wins Labonte's 3rd and 4th. Randy LaJoie 5th. Jarrett, Koch, Nemechek, Wallace, Ward Burton, the top 10 here. More in a moment.
The Red Dog 300 on TBS has been brought to you by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By Peerless Faucet. Get more out of your faucet than just water. By Mobile Motor Oil. Changing oil for over 125 years. And by Bug Be Gone from Ortho. No bug too tough.
Unofficial results on today's Red Dog 300 in this Busch Grand National race. The nation's second richest racing series for stock cars, some $8 million at stake. And they move on to Dover, Delaware next week, then South Boston, Virginia, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And by the way, Loudon, New Hampshire has been rescheduled for Friday. That's Friday, July 12th, when they come up to New England. Some performance by Mark Martin.
A great day for Mark Martin, Ken. He led 5 times for 52 laps. The average speed, 155.857. Not only an event record, he took that from Dale Jarrett. He took the all-time Charlotte record away from Sam Ard, who held it since October 83.
10 did not finishes out of the 43 that started. And right now, the Winston Cup cars are rolling out for their final hour of practice before they go for it in the 37th annual Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow, live here on TBS. The man, Earnhardt, just rolling away. The guys who have won it, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and the sensation of qualifying, New England's Ricky Craven, all ready to give you in a dynamite race tomorrow. Ken Schrader, first car coming to speed in this final hour of testing and preparation for tomorrow's race. On behalf of Dr. Dick Bergen with us today, and Darrell Waltrip, Randy Pemberton, Steve Burns, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Hogwood, thank you for being with us. Congratulations to Mark Martin. I'm Ken Squire. See you tomorrow afternoon.